All right, this is for David Brown again. And the first thing that I'd have to say right off the bat is that you want to really focus on um, what your focal point is. Right now, you've got this guy, and he's standing out because of the detail in him, and that's okay. But the problem is, he really blends in with the background. And one of the ways to do this is to, um, if you go into default colors here, and just fill. Oops. There we go. If we fill that with black, and if you do it as color, you can really see that he's blending in so kind of with the background that you really don't get a chance to see who he is or what he's doing. But if you take him and if you start bringing him out a little bit more, and you have some anatomical issues going on, and I can cover some of them real fast here, but like the shoulder here. Um, you want to work on the collarbone. You want to work with the bicep, the tricep, um, the way the wrist curves, and this hand feels kind of awkward. Get some reference for this right off the bat, and that's kind of what I'm going to tell you on that. But to fix the majority of it, we're just going to do something simple, like starting to add in some colors. So you want this red, vibrant image, but you've got so much going on that the reds are all blending together. So the first thing that we can do, since your major red source is over here, I'm going to just start picking some of this red source and just start really popping some of his features out a little bit more. And you see, just by doing some of that, as simple as that, and even a brighter red, how it's kind of popping out some of that. That's going to just kind of pop him out a little bit more and push him further in the foreground. The other aspect is high contrasting shadows. So if we start popping out some of these shadows here and start pushing him as far as some of your shadows like so, you can see again he's starting to pop out a little bit more. Especially with the dark shadows like that. I'm not going to really go too much into this, but you can see how by pushing some of those dark shadows in there like that, he's becoming a much more defined character. He's starting to push out a little bit more. And then what we can do is refine these elements here so that it becomes more of a foreground background element thing. If I've got this guy, he's got shiny. We're going to just kind of add in some of this. And you got your light source kind of in odd locations. Like this light source here doesn't feel like it's coming from the same area. So you want to unify those light sources. And by doing that, by pushing in those light sources, we're going to get that guy coming, layers of objects instead of as things fade away, you're going to get less and less. Now, I would actually add in a little bit more darks, kind of to emphasize or de-emphasize the background characters a little bit more, and to kind of push this character into the foreground a little bit more. So what you want to do is you want to separate and really kind of define your elements. I'm just going to kind of push him forward just a hair. Let's get a little bit darker here. And so that's your major problem. I mean, and I haven't done much with it, but by doing what little that I did, he's starting to come forward a little bit more. Pushing in the darks. Let's see if we can kind of mid-tone some of this out a little bit. Let's grab. Well, first, let's grab let's just do this real quick. And let's subtract. Something like that. Okay, so by just simply selecting this character out here, and just going with the adjustments and just lowering the saturation a little bit, you can already see how he starts popping out a little bit more. And even if we kind of lighten that background, he's still popping out even a little bit more. And then the further characters like these guys here, I'm just going to kind of rough these guys out. Not too worried about what. And by taking these guys and adjusting these to be darker, again, and a little bit more saturated. And I'm going to just change the hue on them just a little bit more. But you can see now, by simply taking these guys a little bit more, I'm getting much more sense of, those foreground elements, and a background element and a mid-tone element. And then again, keep the shadows consistent, because right now your shadows are kind of all over the place. And if I just start darkening some of these shadows here and popping out some of them, you can see he's starting to stand out a little bit more. And then the other thing is he kind of looks a little bit stationary. And so you're reading via your silhouette. So if your silhouette doesn't read well, then you're not reading the scene very well. So if we just take some of this and put windblown hair and strew a couple across his face, like so, and then let's take this garment here and kind of push this back a little bit more, and let's push some of that light in there a little bit more. And you see how that's starting to separate and define the silhouette a little bit more. Also watch out about your tangents. Something as simple as this here kind of creates a kind of a bad tangent going on, whereas if I take some of this out here, like so, and take this sword and you can see how just by simply kind of roughing out those elements makes it read a lot better, and it's a lot more interesting to look at. And I would even possibly take this arm here and take this arm and move it out here like so. Like so, and by pushing that arm out, that silhouette again reads a little bit better. And it's little things like that, and then this creates a tangent, of course, but it's little things like that that really push forward and backward, and allow you to read better as far as elements go. All right.